guys, welcome back to another episode of Draft Like a Pro. I'm here with my good friend Max, here to break down the previous week of Amateur Premier League on Sorare and look forward to the next week. How are you doing, Max?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it was a fun week of football. The week's still kind of young for us at this point when we're speaking. It's Champions League week. Lots of football to discuss. Lots of entertaining results over the weekend as well, I'll say, and controversy. So long live the controversy.
Yeah, long live. I couldn't believe it, but the main thing I couldn't believe is that Newcastle just beat PSG. I'm so happy for Dan Burn and all the boys. But before we talk about midweek, or we're not even going to talk about midweek, let's talk about the previous week. How did your game week go?
Yeah, it went pretty well. It was kind of an interesting week for me because I think the reason that my team did quite well is because a lot of the heavy hitters, the people that you would expect to do very, very well, didn't really do that well. Like Haaland scored quite low, uh, Bruno, Rashford, these guys didn't have great game weeks. And as a result, I picked a lot of players who did pretty all right. And yeah, I got a decent score and
Yeah,
a decent week.
mentioning the top 3,000, that's the top 5% or so.
Hmm.
Um, you can't really point to anyone to say that they let you down. James Madison, you backed James Madison last week. I backed Shabotsley. Madison outscored him. Didn't get the decisive in 2 goals, but you can't blame him. Same deal with Saliba, 4-0 win, but it's one of those games, man, when defenders are in dominant games, they struggle to rack up the points.
Yeah, I think he barely had any defensive contributions. If you open up his score there, it's he didn't
Zero.
have to do anything. He-
Yeah.
so that's an interesting learning for me anyway. I was assuming like, oh, based on FPL, I'll pick Saliba. He'll get a clean sheet. He'll do great. Easy points. But yeah, it's not going to be the same and so rare. You need to be making some actual contributions to the match.
Yeah, I think if you're doing a dominant game, you want a defender, you want the fullbacks who are making a lot of final third passes and maybe getting attempted assists rather than the centre back who's not involved. Like only 45 passes for Saliba is terrible for him. Yeah. Someone who did do a good bit, Nick Pope, Newcastle defense. The talk of FPL now is Newcastle defenders. Bruno and Joe Linton are back. I think last year I made a big mistake where I brought in De Gea while Casemiro was still suspended. And statistically, United last year with Casemiro were so much better without Casemiro. But I think it's the same situation with Newcastle now. Now that they have Bruno and Joe Linton back, they're going to be racking clean sheets every week.
Yeah, they also have a massive fixture swing. They had a really, really tough start to the season. I think they conceded in every one of the first 4 or 5 games. Uh, a lot of people, to my surprise, actually held on to Trippier through all that time, and then he racked up a ton of points in FPL. And I can't see that changing now. I think Newcastle. I don't know whether it's necessarily down to personnel or fixtures or them just settling into the season, but I think there are a lot of clean sheets in their future. And they're probably the only team that I would say I would back to keep a clean sheet in any given week in the whole league. I mean, you have teams playing 110 minutes every week now. Newcastle are good at slowing the pace of a game down when they're winning. They have a proven track record of doing it, especially last season. So
Even tonight against PSG.
yeah, I back them. Yeah, definitely defensively.
Yeah, then I guess the last point is probably Anthony Gordon. He was your captain, but he's going to be suspended next week.
Yeah, he's been doing really well for me. I think he's a good player. He makes some good attacking contributions. He's not going to play 90 minutes every game, and he's been really good at picking up yellow cards this season. So he is out for the next game, but I'll hang on to him. I think he's got a, like I said, Newcastle are doing really well, so I think he's got a good basis for improvement and for continuing to contribute and get me some points.
Yeah, then just to quickly look at your semi-pro team, Billy Gilmore continuing to outscore his cap, even in a 6-1 loss. So he had minus 12 points for goal conceded. but he's still at positive 16.1 AA. Could have been looking at in the 60s if didn't concede 6 goals.
Yeah, and it's kind of a tough one because I would anticipate wholesale changes for the next game for Brighton. Of course, it depends on how they do in midweek in Europe as well. But even though Billy's taking it along, he's putting the passes together. It's a little hard to call how things are going to go for Brighton right now.
Yeah. Now to talk about my disaster of a game week. Right. Actually, I'm going to start off by talking about FPL. Okay. So in FPL this week, I got 18 points, which is a game week rank of about 10 million. I had minuses across the board. And for you who don't know, there's another game mode of FPL called anti-FPL, where you purposely try and get the lowest score possible by picking players who play using all your budget, etc., etc. And this is the guy who's currently winning it, and he got 25 points. The strategies of Haaland and Salah, the most expensive players on your bench, and I got 18. So my FPL season is over. And so now we're gonna just go back to Sorare to see if that went any better. And the answer is no, it didn't. I decided at the end to hold my extra transfer and to stick with Lewis Dunk. I thought Aston Villa versus Brighton would be an even game. It absolutely wasn't. I thought Wolves and City was going to be an easy clean sheet for City. I don't think Wolves are a good attacking side in the slightest. Gvardiol got pep rouletted. Ederson, Wolves had one shot on target and scored 2 goals because Ruben Dias scored an own goal. Yeah, then Szoboszlai didn't do as well as Madison, 10 points less. That's fine. And then Gordon captain. And I'm going to get rid of him. Next, up here in Prem Pro, where I'm going to give away any cards I win. Big call was Jordan Pickford with the low cap against Luton, conceded 2 goals. It happened. Haaland and Doku both blanked. Diop didn't get an error led to goal, but he got pretty close to it, in my opinion, against the first goal. He completely missed it and Mudryk scored. So who did get an error led to goal was Tim Ream. This was in my champion Europe, by the way. I just wanted to show it off just how sad I was about the Chelsea game, that I thought I was going to win the whole thing because I had Radetsky, Kramaric, Bala. Just had these 2 guys to go. And 373 points. No reward. And I'm used to but 330 being the prize. So it was a pretty crazy week. And Tim Ream, error led to goal. That wasn't really a shot from who scored again for Chelsea the second goal? It was Broya. Tim Ream just kicked it off him and they scored. Jersey, same deal. Harrison Reed only got 27 points. But just to prove that I'm not absolutely terrible at fantasy football, I did win a card in the French league. So I'm going to give that away next week. It is a beautiful card. It is Josko Gvardiol is going to be leaving us soon. And I got rid of him because he is a problem. Because he's not going to play next week. Basically, I don't trust him. But Paul Akouokou, he's going to be given away this week on Twitter. Retweet and like the post, and you'll be in a chance for a giveaway to win on the next show, which will be in 2 weeks. Yeah, so that was my game week. Did not go well, but I'm happy with my French victory. We're going to put that game week to rest. We're going to let that ghost die. And we're going to talk about the upcoming game week. This is my little internal dashboard, FPL data. And yeah, these are the games that are happening. First of all, Tottenham against Luton. My top 3 picks are Madison, Kulishevsky, Son. You going for not Tottenham players?
Yeah, 100%. Both in FPL and in Sorare. I think they're absolutely essential this week. We saw that the curse in FPL that's been happening so far this season of the most transferred in player getting 1 point was broken by Trippier last week. I think he scored quite highly, actually, maybe like 12 or 15 points. So now that that's gone, I think it's safe to captain Son this week. I think it might be safe. I think a lot of people are going to get Son in this week. I would anticipate that a lot of people will also own him in Sorare, and a lot of people will captain him, and I think he will score 2 or 3 goals. I think it will be quite an easy game for Tottenham.
Yeah, I concur. Ange bangs. I'm going to be going heavy on Tottenham. Manchester United against Brentford. I don't agree with this being so high. Bruno is their only player that's being recommended to me here, but he's way too expensive in Sorare, 70 points. Going to move on pretty quickly to Fulham. Against Sheffield United, I don't know what to make of Fulham. We have beat two bad teams so far this season in Luton and Everton. We just lost to a bad team in Chelsea. I think there's some good cap picks knocking around for Fulham, especially in defense. That Robinson's 42, Tim Ream's down at 40. If you want to go for cap picks, it's there, but otherwise, there's no one I'd really pick. Chelsea, Burnley.
Weird dashboard. The 3 teams directly after Tottenham, United, Fulham, and Chelsea are all on bad runs. Chelsea, a little unpredictable. I guess it's kind of an unpredictable week. It looks like.
Yeah, like 60% isn't that high. Like, especially considering that Tottenham are on 71. That if you look at all the other games, typically that you can see games go up to 87, 88% when you see stuff like Celtic versus Kilmarnock or one of the Portuguese teams is one of the smaller teams. So
Yeah,
60% isn't a lock at all. That there's actually a bit of respect being put on Burnley. They did get their first win during the week.
they did. Yeah.
But I
They
don't
look
see any
decent
Chelsea players
defensively.
here. I don't see any Chelsea players. Oh, sorry. I take that back. Enzo's here. Enzo
Interesting.
Fernandez. Pretty much just him and Chelsea's only player away, except for Sanchez, actually. Sanchez could be a pick if you back their defense.
Yeah, Chelsea defense could be good this week, but the attack, I wouldn't touch. They scored 2 pretty lucky goals against Fulham, and Fulham didn't look good either. So I'm not getting tricked. I already got tricked once by Chelsea after a good result against Luton this season. I'm not falling for that again. They need to get at least 3 wins in a row for me to have any sort of trust in them.
Yeah. Everton versus Bournemouth. Pickford, I picked last week. I'm going to stick with Pickford. I still think he's a good cap pick. I still think he can keep a clean sheet. Yeah. I'm just going to move on from them. Crystal Palace for Nottingham Forest. I don't even care. Newcastle versus West Ham. West
That's
Ham look good up front. Newcastle defense.
Yeah. You'd have to expect a Newcastle 1-0 or 2-0, but West Ham, they seem to be scoring every game, a lot of set pieces. Newcastle are pretty good at defending set pieces, but Newcastle are also missing Botman. Um, so that is a bit of a challenge for them. Having said that,
Yeah.
we did see that they just hammered PSG, so they're on a hot streak.
Yeah, especially with Gordon suspended, I'm not going to be touching Newcastle.
Mm.
Aston Villa, Wolves, two teams I can't get a read on. Do you have any reads on these guys?
Well, I've watched a bit of Villa this season, and yeah, they look really good. Watkins has been actually unfortunate not to score more. I think he's the top scorer in FPL right now, which is pretty surprising. I know he scored a lot last week, but he's mostly been getting assists every week. Very few goals until the week's just gone. I think Villa they have a good run of games. Wolves had a great result against City last week, but it's hard to see whether they'll be consistent. Villa also a different team away from home. They are away from home against Wolves, I believe. So it's probably too hard to call, especially for so rare when you're very limited in terms of the number of picks you get. So
Yeah, only
it's
having 8 picks, it's hard to
probably
justify
a
that.
void. Yeah.
I think a lot of picks are going to be tied up in our next two games, right? So we've got Liverpool versus Brighton, City versus Arsenal. I can't read Brighton. Brighton have hurt me badly this week. And Liverpool will be raging. City and Arsenal, I think my big takeaway from that is that Gvardiol was rotated at the last weekend, then he played in the midweek. So I've been saying, oh, Gvardiol, he had a cap of 48. He's going to go up. He's going to be worth like 60, 70. His score that's going to expire this week is a blank. I'm going to get rid of him just because I want to keep other players and just for the 1 week horizon. And I can get him back later if I think he'll start, maybe after the international break.
Yeah, I think City defenders could be could be a smart pick this week because Saka has been injured 3 games in a row. I really, really don't think he should be risked this week. There's been some suggestion that it's a little bit of a bad injury this time. Without Saka, without Martinelli, they're kind of dependent on the likes of Havertz and Jesus, who don't have a lot of pedigree in scoring goals. So yeah, it could be a good week for City.
Backing City defense is pretty hard for me though. Just after
Yeah, because they will rotate. It's so
crazy the goals they concede.
Yeah. It could be a high scoring game. Like it is the type of game that is often high scoring. So I wouldn't blame you for taking Guardiola out.
Yeah, and that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to share what my moves are this week. So I decided to use my extra swap that I bought from the shop. I'm getting rid of Guardiola. I'm getting rid of Gordon, who's suspended. I'm getting rid of Dunk against Liverpool. I'm bringing in Son, and then I'm bringing in 2 Fulham players at home to Sheffield. Very much low cap picks. Going to leave me 11 points to be flexible with my next pick after the international break when things will change. So I'm going to lock in this change here. And going in for Pickford against Bournemouth, Jedi Robinson, backing Szoboszlai to do something against Brighton, Son, and Kulusevski. Now we got the 2 big forwards, nice defense, low cap defense, strong midfielder. And Captain Son feels obvious, but Kulusevski appeals to me as well. I'll probably lock in Captain Son. What do you think? Am I trolling with Pickford and Robinson?
No, I mean, Bournemouth, they don't score a huge number of goals. Robinson against Sheffield United also, it's hard to see where the goals will come from for them. Fulham at home are usually pretty good defensively. I think it's a decent team. Liverpool, Brighton, hard to predict. It could do well. It's a tough game week. The Spurs attackers up front should score you 150, 200 points. No doubt. So I think it's good. Yeah, I think the Spurs attackers in particular will absolutely feast this week. And you have you have your team set up playing against sort of the weaker opposition in the league, which is a nice strategy in FPL at least this season. So
yeah, last week was very much backing with big players in big games. This week it's about preying on the weak.
Yeah, you're learning from your mistakes.
I'm ready. In my pro team, though, I don't have as many options. I'm going in with Issa Diop, João Palhinha, Haaland, Doku, and then Pickford in defense. I could actually upgrade to Ederson. Go full City versus Arsenal, really back them. Like you said, I didn't realize how many Arsenal forwards are out. I still do rate Reece Nelson really highly, mostly from his season at Feyenoord, where he made a European final. If he comes in, I still think Arsenal can do damage, but City away from home. And then Fulham against Sheffield. Hopefully this can win a card to give away to our viewers. Cool. Do you want to share your screen and show us what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. I will do. There we are. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it now.
You can see it there. Yeah. So last week I transferred in Saliba. I've been holding on to Henderson for a while. I'm going to keep a hold of Anthony Gordon. I think he's only out for 1 week and he should be back and ready to go again the following game week. So obviously Saliba was my lowest scorer this week. He's playing against Man City. I don't anticipate the best game for him. I only have 1 Spurs player at the moment, so Destiny is a great pick. He's had a really good start to the season. He's pretty cheap. I reckon he'll have a good game.
Okay.
Sam Johnston for Dean Henderson is my other pick, which might seem questionable, but Palace, they were pretty solid against United last week, and they have a pretty nice run of fixtures. So I think as a second goalkeeper behind Nick Pope, it's a good pick. I want to pick him this week because he's playing against Nottingham Forest at home. I think he will have plenty of opportunities to make saves. And I think West Ham have a pretty good chance of scoring with Botman out. So this is...
you have Julian Alvarez in your swap.
There. And then I think I'll go with Matty Cash.
Yeah, another good budget pick. Yeah, last week, Madison.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess Madison versus Luton. Yeah, last week we were very much saying that in terms of our player versus, it was Szoboszlai versus Madison. I think this week it's Robinson versus Destiny. That I was kind of locked out of getting Destiny because I had Kulishevsky. Well, I wasn't locked out of getting him. I just wanted to get Son.
Son is a better choice.
Yeah.
But I like Alvarez. I think Alvarez has been scoring a lot. Scored again in the Champions League. He's looking really good. Like one of City's better players. Seems undroppable at the minute. Maybe even ahead of Haaland in the pecking order, you could argue. So yeah, I reckon he could have a good game week too.
Okay.
So
and then who are you gonna drop to bring in Billy Gilmore for your semi-pro?
That is an interesting conversation. I think Madison has to stay. Anthony Gordon obviously has to go for. I'm going to go Alvarez again. Big games, big players, and then Pope out for
Johnston
as well once again. So I'm dropping Matty Cash.
Okay. Yeah, your semi-pro team is a little better than your main team. But yeah, I like it. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Don't forget to comment down below who's going to score better this week, Anthony Robinson or Destiny Doji. Like and retweet my tweet linking to this so that you have a chance to win the Akouokou. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks because the international break is coming up. See you. Bye.
Bye.